Today I'm going to be talking to you about my favourite wines from the Loire, and they're all made out of Chenin Blanc. The outsiders, the rule breakers, the people who are the rock stars of their appellation. So it's always been about the sweet wines in that middle part of the Loire, where the Chenin gets very ripe, so you can make really good sweet wines there. So whatever style your Chenin is, it's likely to have something like a pear, apple, quince type aroma. That's the main fruit profile. Many examples from this area are going to have loads of minerality, tastes like rocks, and it really tastes like the place and has that mouthfeel that just feels like there's lots of energy and structure. Some of the Chenins have a wet wool aroma, some of them smell smoky. In some of the sweet areas of the Loire, you're going to get very waxy, honeyed, luscious, perfumed examples. So let's look at some villages. Vineyard. This is the place where all the wines are dry. Well, most of them. So this is a dry white appellation. It's got a bit of history, but that's down to one guy really, this guy who's a rock star. He's called Nicolas Joly. He was an investment banker and he went around the world. He was living in London and then he came back to take over his family vineyards. And he was basically the only one in the area who was not using any chemicals. And his wines were so incredible, they were like nothing else in the region. And since then, there's a lot of winemakers are coming in and they're challenging those appellations and they're doing something different in their own little villages. The Coulee de Serrant is a great example of this. Nicolas Joly picks very, very late, so the grapes are shriveled, but it's still dry and the wines have got this golden colour and people think they're oxidised, but they're not. It's just late harvest. And they're very stable. You can drink those wines over a week. So we move on from Vineyard, where the wines are very minerally, very powerful, and they have this little saltiness at the end. It's unmistakable. But as you go south, over the bridge, into the black schist soils of the Léon, you get to a few villages where, if you want to call your wine by that village, it has to be sweet. But there are some rock stars in there, and they're making dry Chenin. And you might be wondering what I've got in my hand here. This is from the little village of Lambert de Latte, which is where Clos de la Loue is. There's this guy called Thomas and his wife Catherine, and they are making some of the most extraordinary Chenin you've ever tasted. So here at Clos de la Loue, we've got perfect south-facing slope. We've got this soil that's got bits of rock in it. Look at this. Like bits of quartz, schist. It's got limestone in it. Hasn't got too much of a slope, so it retains a bit of water. So it's good for Cab Franc as well. And I'm here with Thomas, and he's been telling us about that he doesn't completely use all the biodynamic stuff. He's just farming by observing logical decisions and just seeing what's going on and doing it by instinct. So he's got his own way of doing it. He's got lots of little plants in between his vines. It all looks a little bit wild, but he's got a good reason for it. He wants to keep the biodiversity in the soil, so it's full of life. So that wine from the top of the hill, it's got the perfect exposition, it's got lots of biodiversity, there's all insects flying around, it's really cool. So that's one village. So there's another village nearby called Lambert de Latte, not the coffee. And that is also part of the Coteaux de Léon appellation. Arguably the best winemakers there all make dry wines that they have to call Vin de France, because it doesn't quite meet the conditions to be called their village name. And one producer that I visited last year is Moss. It's two brothers who are both around 30 and they're doing some really cool stuff. And all of their wines have an incredible depth and they've got lots of appley aromas that explode in the glass and they just taste alive. They've just got amazing energy in the wines. Basically, the Chenin tastes like toffee apples. And finally, that leads us on to one of the most important villages in the Léon, arguably one of the most important villages for the grape variety Chenin. It's Rablais Chenin, and that's where one of the most sought after unicorn Chenins comes from. So I've got 4 producers from this little village, Rablais Chenin. Let's start with the main man, the old Dickie Leroy. So Richard Leroy, He's not actually called Richard Leroy, he's called Richard Leroy. But I call him the old Dick Leroy. So if you want to get yourself a bottle of the old Dick Leroy, it's gonna be a bit of a quest. It's incredibly hard to find this wine. It's like, even if you've got the money, it's still hard to find it. The things I had to do to get this bottle of wine, you would not believe. Anyway, there's a vineyard called the Montebello, and Richard Leroy has been farming it with no chemicals. He's been making sure that there's lots of life there. There's trees, there's things buzzing around. It's just one of the greatest vineyards in that area. And it's black schist, of course. Little sloping hill where some of the most captivating, powerful wines come from. It's unbelievable. I tasted this about 5 years ago. This is when it wasn't such a unicorn wine. You could just go in a shop and buy it. And it just blew us away. The concentration, the length, the intensity, it had this smokiness. You know when you drink a bottle of wine and it's just, you remember that moment where you were when you tasted that wine. This is one of those bottles. But I won't bang on about it for too long because you'll never be able to find it. And I'll probably open this, it'll be corked. But that's what you get for bragging. So there's this guy called Olivier Lejeune. He has got vineyards right next to Richard Leroy. And he's making powerful toffee apple, incredible Chenin that will blow your mind. So that's something that you can actually find. There's another guy as well who's also got vines on the Montebello, and he's called Thomas Batardier. And again, they're making dry wine, they're farming with no chemicals, they're hardly using any sulfur. I don't think Richard Leroy ever uses sulfur, to be honest, which is very risky, but we'll get to that in another video. And finally, there is, we were talking about outsiders, we were talking about people who, bit rule breakers who aren't quite fitting in with the locals. This is May and Kenji Hodgson's wine. So they're also just down the road from Richard Leroy, and they're inspired by his winemaking and his practices in the vineyard. And I believe they are both Canadian. Just shows you, outsiders making the best wine. Basically, all of the wines that you read about in the books from this area, in the Léon and Anjou and even Saumur, they always mention the sweet wines, but you've got to remember that some of the greatest Chenin in the world is the dry stuff made with no chemicals, biodynamically. So look at this one. I've been chasing this bottle for so long. It's from Bonzo, and all of the wines from Bonzo are typically sweet. And I heard about this wine, and it's wine that smells like it's going to be sweet, and then you put it in your mouth and it's not very sweet at all. It's just a little bit of sweetness at the end. They can't call it Bonzo on the label, it's just Vin de France, which is unbelievable because this wine was captivating. But I really wanted to visit this vineyard because it was an extraordinary sight. It was surrounded by forest, it had all of these wild looking vines, basically looked like a mess. The wines from Bonzo, typically they're very perfumed, they're a bit waxy, they're a little bit softer than some of the other ones where you get the black schist. It's still schist, but I think the soils are a bit heavier and denser. So it makes amazing sweet wines, and also they've got a breeze running through there and they can leave the Chenin to ripen very late, so it goes rotten and you can get all these honeyed botrytis aromas. And the lady who made it, she used to work for this guy called Marc Angeli, and this one even has a unicorn on the label. That's Marc Angeli. When you read about Bonzo, they never mention anything dry, and then you discover one of these wines and it'll change your life. Mind blown. This area of the Loire, famous for sweet wines for so long. People thought this was the way Chenin just was supposed to be in these areas. But then these superstars came along, these rock stars. It's a new wave of wine producers who are ripping the rule book up. They're just calling the wine Vin de France. They don't even care that they can't call it by the village name. People are going nuts for it. So if you want a toffee apple in a glass, you want to be hit in the face with a bag of rocks, you want to feel the power and the majesty of Chenin, these are the producers to look for.
Who wants to get hit in their face by a bag of rocks? I mean, one person.
I don't know. People?
You can't say that!
I would.
No.
Anyway, thanks for watching.